Thank you to Riverside for sponsoring this video. This is the year to create a video podcast. Not only does video allow for repurposing of content in bite-sized segments for different social media platforms, but the video format is typically more engaging than an audio-only podcast. And when it comes to people finding your podcast, video could make for easier discovery. But where do you start? This video is going to break down the 3 essential elements that you need to know when it comes to video podcasting. So whether you're completely new to the world of video podcasting or you're looking to upgrade your audio podcast, you're in the right place. We're going to start with the foundation of what's important first. Now, as we discuss equipment, I'm going to be catering for all budgets. So we'll start by addressing some of the more affordable options first, and then we'll move towards the pricier but more feature-rich alternatives later. Now to the first important element of video podcasting. What equipment do you plan to use to film your podcasts? The most affordable option would be to use your phone. Phones these days can easily compete with cameras. The goal is to capture HD footage, but start with what you have because there is more to what makes a good video than HD footage. We'll get onto that in a second. But if you're going to be using a phone, make sure to balance it on something in order to keep your image stable. If you're filming by yourself, consider investing in a phone tripod with a remote, but stable footage is a non-negotiable. Then if you have a little more budget, a DSLR camera and a tripod are my go-to. You could use your own gear, rent gear, or even rent a studio with the correct gear already set up for you. But you could have the best camera and the best tripod. However, if your audio isn't top tier, then you're wasting your time. Again, you could start affordably by investing in a shotgun mic. From there, a lapel mic is ideal, but nothing beats a podcast-specific mic. That said, there are so many ways to edit your audio and post that there is no need to empty your bank account on a fancy mic immediately. That's a controversial statement, but I stand by it. Just ensure that you don't record too close to any obvious noise like traffic, construction, or toddlers. If it's nap time, you're good, but you get the idea. Also, a small empty room can give an echo that is awful on the ears. A cupboard or car is an ideal option. And if you're worried about what your video is going to look like, there's no need to stress. People seem to be having interviews in the strangest places these days. I mean, keep it clean and classy as much as you can, but at the end of the day, you know the tone that you're going for with your video podcast. So rather than stressing about renting studios or breaking the bank on locations, roll with what you can afford and focus on your content being groundbreaking, because after all, that's what people are tuning in for. If I have to think of some of my favorite podcasts, well, the setting is pretty simple. I'm not too fazed about what it looks like because I'm tuning in to the conversation at the end of the day. But even if you have great audio and the basics to film your podcast, remember that this is for video after all. Now, lighting is the secret to a great video. The affordable option is to film during the part of the day where natural light will feed into your studio. From there, a circle light is a budget-friendly upgrade. And once you're making the big bucks, then you can start having a lot of fun with the types of lighting that you decide to incorporate. In this video, I'm making use of different lighting options. I'm using natural light. I also have a bit of a studio light. And then at the back over there, I just turned on a light just to light up a bit of my background and to just add some depth to the shot. But you just need to explore and figure out what look you're after. And as your budget increases, then you can get more creative with achieving your desired outcome. But my biggest tip is to start with what is easy and accessible to you, because the last thing that you want to do is invest in a whole bunch of equipment that you don't know how to use. I mean, there is a steep learning curve with buying a new piece of equipment each time. And this could act as a form of procrastination in a sense and pause you from actually just getting your video podcast up and running. Done is better than perfect. Starting is the hardest part. Here are some more inspirational quotes to get you going. The next essential element involves software. Now, just in case you were panicking because what I've already discussed only applies to if you're interviewing physical guests, Don't worry, I'd like to let you know that this next part is ideal for you if you're planning to do remote interviews. Also, this is the part where I would like to introduce and thank the sponsor of today's video, Riverside. Up until this point, I've given you guys options when it comes to brands, but I am partnering with Riverside for the software section of this video because I really do believe they are the all-inclusive and easy option when it comes to video podcasting. Let me explain. Riverside is like a virtual studio where you can invite your guests to join you. Literally, you can send your guests an invite, and with the click of a button, they can join you. Once your guest joins you, Riverside lets you record high-quality audio and video. You can record the video and audio separately for each of the individual guests, and this is a dream when it comes to the time to start editing. So remember earlier when I said we're going to start by discussing affordable options? Well, with Riverside, you can select what mic you're using. And if you have no mic, you can select that option. And if you input a mic, you should be able to select it from the drop-down. Now, you could record using your webcam, but Riverside also allows you to use your phone as a webcam. But more on this in my next video, where I will be diving deeper into the topic of recording your podcast on your phone. Once you have filmed your episode, you are also able to edit it within Riverside. Now, at the top of this video, I mentioned the benefits of repurposing your long-form episode into shorter pieces to promote your episode. And with Riverside, this is as easy as selecting what format you want to use from their selection of templates. In their editing studio, you are also able to edit out unwanted sections of your episode. You can add B-roll. You're able to adjust audio levels and add effects to remove any background noise. And you can also add captions, which is incredibly helpful if the guest that you're interviewing has a strong accent, or if you refer to a specific resource that your audience may want to know the spelling of. So with Riverside, you can easily invite guests to your virtual studio, you can record your episode, and you can also edit your episode. So if you want to check out Riverside, you can use the link in my description and use my code MFVideo to get 15% off. Again, the code is MFVideo and the link is in my description. Now, the final part is sharing your podcast. My biggest tip here is to plan questions around shareable pieces. For short form specific videos, I found that questions that could lead to a title starting with why or how, these tend to perform well. That said, it could also be helpful to take note of organic, unplanned parts of your conversation that could also be useful when it comes to forming a title. Whether this is a comedic statement or a new thought, you could title it appropriately to draw attention to your longer episode. But if you're inundated with options of where to share your short form videos, luckily most vertical formats work for the trending short form social media platforms. However, I would personally start with YouTube, as you can upload your video podcast there, and any short form pieces of content that you upload to YouTube Shorts could then be linked to the long form episode. YouTube also, at the time of this video, is the second largest search engine. So when it comes to discoverability, it's also a strategic choice. Now, you could also use a combination of other social media platforms to drive traffic to your longer form episode. But remember that this would require your prospective audience member to close one app and then open another. So if you're finding yourself a bit short on time, I would suggest that you start with YouTube and then branch out to the other social media platforms. But by all means, if you have the capacity to promote your podcast on all of the social media platforms, be my guest. Apparently more is more when it comes to promotion. But seeing that we've just discussed YouTube, if you want to learn more about growing an audience on YouTube for this current algorithm, check out this video. Then a big thank you to Riverside for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to check out Riverside, you can use the link in my description. Don't forget my code MFVideo, and good luck with your video podcasts. See you in the next one. Bye.